This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
As the sun rises like a scene out of The Lion King over the African bushveld, we wonder what today will bring. Welcome to your safari live from the African bush. Look at this wonderful sunrise illuminating these picturesque leadwood tree branches as it rises on its relentless march into the sky. I can't wait to see what today brings. It's going to be an absolutely gorgeous day, I think. Absolutely gorgeous. And you are joining me. I'm Mike. Behind the camera is Seb, and you're joining us here at Eco Training's Pridelands Conservancy. We can't wait to see what we find. We're actually heading our way towards the western boundary to see if we can follow up on a giraffe that was killed yesterday by a male lion, and there was some hyenas in the area as well. It was a young giraffe, baby, so we're going to go and see if we can find the remains. But for the meantime, we're just enjoying this. We were just driving along, and Seb said, "Mike, we have to show them this." And I agree. I mean, look at that. A lot of dust and haze in the air is creating this beautiful orange glow in the sky. I mean, it doesn't get much better than that. As we wait to see what today brings. I love watching how the heat haze off the sky, you can see the ripples on the side of the sun. The other day we even were able to see a sunspot, a dark patch on the sun, which allowed us to understand how it affects patterns in South Africa and around the world actually, which is pretty amazing. It's not something that you get to see too often. I love how it illuminates those branches. It gives the sun an incredible sense of size.
Good morning everybody, and a warm welcome to and Beyond Phinda Private Game Reserve, where this morning we've come across this elephant bull who you wouldn't be able to tell from the picture, but is up right on top of a koppie. We are in his path. So if he does decide to carry on along this path back down towards a couple of other elephant bulls off to our right hand side, we will obviously make way for him. But he's quite happy browsing there this morning. Massive tusks. You see that very distinctive little hole in his left ear as the sun, or as that light sort of catches it when he flares his ears open. But have a look at that set of tusks that he's carrying. Very, very impressive tusks, those. Not sure if we'll be able to see, but quite an interesting to do with them is to look for, on either left or right tusk, what they call a grass notch. This particular elephant bull is massive. I'm going to have to give him a little bit of space. So I'm going to reverse slightly, just because I think he's got intentions of coming down and feeding this morning, which we will happily do for him because of his large size. But there are, like I was saying, out of picture, a couple more elephant bulls, but he's chosen a very interesting spot to feed this morning. I'm going to stop just here, and we'll carry on watching. I know he's a bit obscured now by the branches, but he'll probably carry on slowly feeding. Off to our right hand side, you can start to see the sun, or at least the bit of light coming through. but he's still tucked away in the shadow of this mountain, and it is magic morning here. Not a breath of wind for now, at least, unlike the last couple of mornings that we've had. Few clouds off to the far west, but beautiful vistas and a lovely view that this elephant has chosen this morning to have his breakfast as he slowly ambles his way down the mountain. I can't see any of his friends at the moment, but I'm going to stick with him for now and see if he joins up with the rest.
Hey, Jambo everyone, welcome to the beautiful Masai Mara. Of course, I'm never alone. On camera is Big James. It's beautiful weather here in the Masai Mara, about 17 degrees Fahrenheit. And our mission this morning is to take you down towards where the migration is. It's only about maybe 15 minutes where they are, so I'm gonna continue driving on. But as you can see, always it is beautiful in the Masai Mara. In front of me here, I'll stop and then we can, you can see in front of the tree here, we have, I think, 2 secretary birds. And these 2 are locals. I've always seen them around here. I think they're planning on starting a family. This is a bird of prey which spends a lot of its time on the ground, only roosting in trees and nesting in trees. They make this huge, gigantic nest of about 1.5 square meters, made of twigs, feathers, and they reuse it many times over the years. They feed on, creepy crawlies like snakes, lizards, and they're quite numerous here in the Masai Mara. The light is not as good because we're on the receiving end, but they are colorful. They have this beautiful reddish ivory beaks. They have grayish, whitish color. Of course, they resemble, a secretary walking to the office with, short, tight pants, a lipstick, and walking on high heels. Over at the distance, you can see how beautiful it is here. That is the same antelope we saw yesterday, the topi, which is close to, resembles the tsetse in Southern Africa. This guy looks like he's been cold, so he's enjoying the morning sun, and I think he's just discovered that we're watching him, so he's staring at us. That is topi. Remember, topi is only found in East Africa, north of Serengeti and the Masai Mara. They amount to around maybe 50,000, and they're in small patches here in the Masai Mara. So it's quite a unique antelope. They do migrate to the Serengeti, and I hope I'll be showing you more than one in the coming days. They, go in small groups of up to, 20. Sometimes you'll even see one that has been lost, wandering by itself. Over here, I don't know how many we can see, James. Do you see any more? I don't think there's any more. Yeah, I think he was all alone. Anyway, I'm gonna drive on so I can get to where the migration is, and so I can give you a taste of how it feels. So enjoy the drive.
From the southern plains of the Serengeti, over 1 million grazers move northwest through the Western Corridor, gathering along the banks of the Grumeti River. Once the chaos of the rut comes to an end, the herds gallop north once again. In time, more than 2 million animals amount to feast on the abundance the Mara has to offer. But the reward of the red oat grass does not come easy. The zebra vanguard is the first on the banks, taking the plunge into the treacherous Mara River in order to reach the untouched long grass plains on the other side. Not only must they face the turbulent waters, but also the crocodiles, gliding through the rapids in anticipation. Then comes the body of the migration, the thundering herds of the white-bearded wildebeest, with their bleats echoing through the landscape while in search for greener pastures. Hunger, So too are the lions of the Mara, who patrol the banks of the river. The risks are known, but the herds are determined. All must make the leap. Some will fall, but for the survivors, the lush greenery that awaits is bountiful. And then, as is nature's way, it comes the time to cross the river again as they continue to follow the life-giving storms and nourishing plains.
We're having a marvelous time here with this herd of elephants. They are just heading up towards the north. They're eating sticks and enjoying grass and leaves and having a general play. Please remember to talk to us. You can do that using the hashtag CGTN Digital, otherwise the hashtag Wild Earth on Twitter, or the chat streams of whatever stream you're watching. This herd has been milling about here since before the sun came up, and now it's slowly starting to move up towards the north. I suspect it's going to go and find some water to drink. Probably 3 groups or so, not just the one. I'm just going to quickly move around because there's one. No, let's stay where we are. One quite irritated young bull coming up next to us. Here he comes. he got left behind the rest of the herd. And now he's irritated. He's blaming human beings in the area for his woes. This is very typical of any kind of teenage mammal, I suppose. Just like a sort of petulant teenage boy. Yeah, Peter, it is a wonderful sound. It's also potentially quite intimidating if you don't know what it is. And normally that kind of groaning shout that they make is youngsters like this. I'm just going to shift you a little bit forward for you there, BK. And it can sound utterly terrifying if you don't realize that it's youngsters who are having a tantrum. Or youngsters begging for milk. It's often youngsters sort of begging for milk and not being allowed to suckle. Whereas a really irritated bull, big bull or big cow will often be silent if he or she are going to attack.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to a cold and misty morning here in Simbambili, actually. We have Kara, Shidulu's daughter. My name is Lauren, and I do have Theo on camera, and this is my first time viewing this leopard. So I'm oh my goodness me, she is off. Oh my, if she's anything like her mother, she is going to be a busy bee. We actually came to Simbambili to check for the dogs, no sign of them. Oh my goodness, she's running, okay. We have got a mission on our hands, I think, everyone. She was sitting so perfectly. Okay, the other vehicle doesn't appear to be following, so we shall try. Can you see her, Theo? So yes, I'm very excited to meet Kara, Shidulu's daughter, Duchess of the West daughter, who is now much older. I've got her in front. I'm going to just keep her in my line of sight to also assist the other vehicles. Although we complain about our vehicles, believe it or not, they get us through some very challenging places. She's busy. She's probably hungry. If she hasn't fed, I'm going to just stop here, Theo, and we can maybe get a brief view of her. She's so big. She hears something. imagine if we got her hunting? Wouldn't that be incredible? Now, Kara is the only offspring of Shidulu. There was a male in that litter too, but sadly that got killed. And Kara has successfully been raised to independence. So although Shidulu and Kara are still seen interacting at some times, she's naturally gravitating towards independence and going to be a fierce leopardess of her own right. If she's slowed down, that's fantastic news. She's tiny, she's so petite. We had Tiani and Cup here yesterday, and I also just wondered if maybe they've moved further east, which would give us a chance to see them. But sadly, the further west we go, we don't get a signal. Okay, are you ready, Theo? We are going to follow. So if she's anything like her mother, this will not be easy, but wish me luck.
Good morning from and beyond Ngala, and welcome to the Timbavati riverbed. My name is Eric, and behind camera, as always, is Gert. We've got a beautiful scene this morning. These elephants in the riverbed digging with the sunset, or the sunrise at least, directly behind them, and they just seem to be taking it nice and easy this morning. So everyone's moving quite slowly. Might hear that shriek, and that was from one of the younger elephants who haven't been able to get a drink of water yet because they're being dominated by some of the bigger elephants within this herd. And it's really quite cool to see because there's a few individuals that are grouping together. So there's, on the left hand side of the screen, there's an adult with a youngster. Then slightly further back, there's just another small little pocket, and I wonder if that's just not, each mother's got their own hole with their offspring waiting and trying to drink. And there's another example on the left there. It's quite interesting. This one in the foreground doesn't have any tusks, which is a bit unusual for an elephant at this age. And now with this slightly older one appearing from the background, we might hear another shriek. It's tentatively approaching. You might just hear the older elephant giving it a warning. So Tinashe, that's such a cool sound. The biggest reason as to why elephants don't have oxpeckers on them is that they don't tolerate them. So the elephants, if an oxpecker comes close, I've never even seen an oxpecker trying to land on an elephant. And they've got very, very thick veins that are close to the surface of the skin behind their ears. And if the oxpecker were to break through that vein, there would be a lot of blood that would just keep running through it. And so the elephants don't tolerate oxpeckers at all. The only bird species that I've really seen in this area that associate themselves a lot with elephants are fork-tailed drongos. And when elephants are moving through grassland, quite like the ones on the right in the reeds over there, they flush out insects as they go. And so these opportunistic birds will follow a herd, and as soon as an insect gets flushed out, they'll swoop in and try and catch it. So we can actually see, I think, the one that's making all the noise is the one at the back over there. And because we're almost in a valley, it just is echoing and coming straight towards us. So we're getting some beautiful sounds this morning. So it looks like, see how it's moving forward and going straight behind the mother's front right leg, almost like it's wanting to suckle and have something to drink from the mother instead of drinking from the hole, and that might be what's irritating the mother. See that elephant, the youngster, doesn't have tusks either. Oh, not. But that just goes to show how deep that hole is. And look, as that elephant exhales, you might even be able to see the steam coming out of its trunk. And this peaceful scene is not likely to last. So I think Gert and I might just stick around and wait for them to move out of the river before we continue on with our morning.
Welcome back everybody to And Beyond Phinda, where as you can see just behind this elephant we've had to give him a little bit of space to make his way down the mountain, but where he is now is flat enough for him to carry on down. It was a little bit precarious further up that hill behind him, but I'm sure now that it's a little bit more flat he's going to start to venture down. Very calm, him and the rest of the elephants that you might hear snapping of branches every so often as we watch this particular elephant. Down below him, who he might join. I believe everyone's had a bit of luck with elephants this morning. See the flapping of the ears, which as today heats up, he might do a little bit more of. Absolutely, and I think everyone, by the sounds of things, has struck gold this morning with elephants. I'm hoping that he uses the road one last time to show us or show off his impressive set of ivory that he has before he carries on. But we are extremely lucky. It looked like I counted at least 3 more elephant bulls down off to our right, and it was Craig behind the camera that saw this particular bull this morning. Initially we thought what was a rock, then flapped its ears and became this elephant in front of us. And you can now see that a little bit of his right tusk in amongst that quarry off to the right hand side that Craig's now zooming in on. But yeah, really quite content this morning. He hasn't stopped feeding since we found him, and neither has his friends down off to the side. Linda, this particular bull I think is one of the biggest on this reserve, and he's got a very impressive set of tusks. They are massive. I was trying to see earlier when he was facing us if on either one of them he had a grass notch, but I didn't manage to see that, sadly. But they are really impressive, and it's quite nice how they flay out, very sort of symmetrical. Let's see if he doesn't decide to show us his face here, Linda, to see that impressive set of tusks. There we go. Now he's showing off, but you can see that trunk of his down below pointing up, just sniffing. The air is on our back, or the wind's blowing from us to him, so I think he's just trying to gauge all the different colognes and things like that coming from us this morning, resting his trunk a bit. I think it's been hard at work. You might just be able to see on that trunk all that greenery where he's been stripping leaves and branches that have remained on his trunk. But just giving it a 5-minute break, you'll see how every so often he rests his legs like he is at the back there, that back right leg of his, as we sometimes do when we stand up. But yeah, that trunk always busy and busy sniffing at the moment. But amazing now how he isn't silhouetted against the light at the back, how here they don't necessarily have to have. In fact, one of the bulls that we saw now down below this chap to the right didn't have tusks at all. But for things like elephant bulls, it's a way of establishing dominance. I'm not sure if you've seen elephants fight, but they'll actually run and clash those tusks together, and every so often it might break on that grass notch that we spoke of, or they might just break higher up. So it is their defense mechanism. Places like Botswana, where prides of lions have adapted to taking down things like elephants, they have to use them to protect themselves as well. But I'm not sure if you heard that snap in the background. Almost sounded like a gunshot, but that's those elephants breaking trees. Those are just their defense mechanisms against one another and other predators. but amazing for such a big animal. How he disappears behind that little guarri bush that he is. Just his backside that sticks out on the road. I'm probably going to leave these elephants be and head off elsewhere to see what else we can find this morning.
So these two elephants are the last of the herd that are drinking in the river. The rest of them have slowly started moving onto the bank. They drank at exactly the same time there. And they're starting to feed slowly along the riverbank. So we can't see them anymore, but we can hear them. These youngsters are getting quite cheeky. They're getting pushed away by the mothers. And it's quite cool to see because every now and again they'll splash out the water of the trunk. And that might just be maybe they sucked up a little bit too much sand and so they just wanted to get rid of it. But what's quite interesting, I mean, looking at that elephant that's drinking, if we get a nice close look at her face, especially as she turns and drinks, look how long the hair is around her lip. I don't know if I've seen hair that long around the lip on an elephant before. The sun is just about to come up above the bank of the river, and so it's going to start warming up this area very quickly. It's in a beautiful part of the riverbed because we've just got these nice tall almost cliffs to the left hand side of us. So it makes it very picturesque. And whilst we're waiting for this elephant to finish off drinking and continue feeding through the day, we have the plan of returning towards that area where we had that wonderful sighting of the leopards yesterday. If you weren't watching, the leopard managed to hoist an impala carcass in the area, and so there's a very good chance that that young male will still be around, and potentially even the other leopard that he stole the carcass from. We came into this area first though because we actually heard some lions calling after drive at around 8 or 9 o'clock last night. So we wanted to see if we could find tracks, and because we haven't found any tracks crossing this section of the river, we are going to bumble back towards where that leopard has the carcass for the morning.
Okay, welcome back. Look at what I just found. Well, elephants are always amazing, but here is one animal that we've been waiting for quite a while. The white-bearded gnu, and here they are. You can tell that all their heads are facing north. So these guys might have arrived last night because they were not here, and they are in their thousands. These guys migrate from southern Serengeti and make it to the Mara in about 3 months. And so maybe I had seen these guys, early this year when I was in Serengeti. And they have, all eaten all the grass down there, and so they're happily eating fresh grass here. As you can see how busy they are. This is what we call the head, which usually is the first few thousands, and then we get the body, which is more thousands, and then the tail, which is just a trickle of a few. They will be staying with us here in the Mara for the next about 2.5 months. That little guy you see there with the sharp horns, his head is down. Yes, this is just but a few. We'll be showing you more in the coming days. If you scan all the way to the escarpment, you will see there is more. We'll be sweeping left and you will see that. See, that's the line that was walking earlier, but they stopped. Usually they walk in single files, which usually wears out the grass, and we have these paths that form web-like patterns if you fly above the Mara on a balloon or a plane. You can tell that these guys arrived last night. They are grazing. Later on, when it gets too hot, they will be heading down to the river maybe to drink. They don't necessarily have to go to the river. There is plenty of places to drink here in the Mara. There is watering holes. There is streams that come from the escarpment. So water is in plentiful. Although this is not a very good looking animal, they make it in their numbers. As you can see here, it's just thousands. That little guy you see there, I think he's about only, I hope he comes out to the left of his mom, of her mom, yeah? He might come out, he or she is hiding, is camera shy. Okay, I think the wildebeest are here, and I'm gonna see what they're doing. I'm gonna stick here a little bit longer. Maybe let's go and find out about more antelopes, maybe.
Across Africa, there are 72 species of antelope living in diverse habitats from desert to rainforest. On the vast plains of East Africa, speed is crucial to escape being devoured by hungry predators, and they don't come much faster than the Thompson's gazelle. Meanwhile, during the Kalahari's scorching days and frosty nights, the gemsbok's ability to regulate its temperature can come in quite useful. But none are as sneaky as the common duiker, who in the dense thickets of the Kruger woodlands rely on camouflage and stealth. In the Masai Mara, the impalas are showboaters with impressive horns. While in the Kruger, the impala are smaller, but their density is far greater. The Mara's yearly highlight is the arrival of nearly 1.5 million wildebeest. The herds further south barely compete. But it's not all about numbers, as the intimacy of a wildebeest birth in the Kruger woodlands is sublime. Each environment has its own set of rules, and every antelope species has to rise to the challenge.
Our little leopard is very busy, not yet hunting antelope, but I imagine that's exactly what she's going to do. Leopards in this area prefer medium to small size antelope, especially a female like Kara, a young female. So it would be duiker, steenbok and impala. Now she started off, she's very skittish, Kara. Or at least this morning she is. I haven't spent enough time with her to talk about how she normally is. This is my first time viewing her, but we've completely lost her in this thicket. I just want to drive carefully. I don't want to scare her. Or not scare her, just startle her, sorry. So we've lost our little leopard. We're deep in a dense thicket here. She's somewhere. I just don't know where, I'm afraid. I'm just going very, very slowly. We've got the sun in our eyes and it's quite thick here. So I'm going to do my very, very best to locate our mini duchess.
Look at this magnificent scene we have here of a calming, mist-filled valley with the sun rising in the background. Now we've stopped here to have a listen to see if we can hear any alarm calling animals. Perhaps the call of a wild dog looking for the rest of the pack. The sawing of a leopard. But right now all I can hear is the beauty of the dawn chorus. Beautiful francolins mainly, crested. One or two Koki francolins calling. You might just be able to hear in the background the sound of a little smithable. Now, BK, if you bring the camera around, can you see the biggest dead tree in front of us? Yes. To the right of that is a termite mound, and every time I've come past here, I've looked on that termite mound and thought, I wish I could see a leopard sitting on that termite mound. And I've seen something on that termite mound, but it is not a leopard. You see there? There you are, you've got it there. Now, center frame. It's an antelope of some sort that has climbed up onto the termite mound to have a rest. The young kudu. A very exuberant, noisy dawn chorus today. Stunning. Made all the more so by the mist. It sure is, Flark. Nature is just bursting with life right now. Right, I think we'll carry on. We haven't found any tracks of the wild dogs. That's not to say that they aren't around somewhere, and hopefully we'll catch up with them.
Okay. Yeah, over here we have lots of little guys. You see they have sharp horns. These are only about 3-4 months old, and they're doing their first annual migration. When they arrive here, sometimes it's times to be weaned, because while being chased or crossing the river, they will lose their mothers, and so they'll start surviving at very early stages. All the ones I see here looks like they have their mothers with them. If I go shut for like 5 seconds, you'll hear the noises they make. Yeah, those are the sounds of the wildebeest. That is a male. You can tell by his behavior. He runs with head raised up. looking for those females that are coming into season. Remember, when they feed on this highly nutritious grass, females come into season and a lot of mating will happen here. By the time they arrive in southern Serengeti, it will be time to give birth. You will see males getting excited every now and then, and sometimes batting their heads to win a position to be able to have a chance to mate with most females. Around me here is tens of thousands. Sometimes I try and figure out how to count the numbers, but it's very difficult. But having been raised in family with cattle, sometimes I look and I can estimate an area can take how many. And over here, from when I started, I can say it's an easy 300,000 wildebeest. They stretch all the way down to the river, behind me, up towards the hill. The direction I'm facing right now, I'm facing the Mara River, but it's a long way down. We are in an area, yep. It's almost about, I would give about 18 give and take if they all survive, because the gestation period is around 7-8 months, and if they survive they live about 18 years. So by the time they die they would have given birth to around 18 give or take. But survival rate still matters a lot, because most of them don't make it in the first few weeks when they given birth in southern Serengeti. So maybe of those 18, maybe about 10 will make it to adult. Yeah, you can tell their heads now are facing towards the river, so later on I think they'll be going for a drink. These animals can go without drinking for about 2-3 days, so they're not water dependent. And although they look like their legs are too bony or toothpick like, they have very strong bones, and I actually refer them to athletes, because the distances they run or walk is around 250 miles round journey. That is a lot of walking. Of course, I've never eaten one, so I don't know how they taste or if they're chewy. Here we are. We have the zebra. Yes, here we have the zebra. I'm gonna leave you to enjoy the zebra, and we'll talk about it later.
So we're on our way to the area where where someone had the male lion yesterday, and we've come across this herd of impala, and we just thought the light is so nice with the sun backlighting them that we'd stop for a moment. It also gives us a chance to just listen to the bush and know what else might be around here. We're looking for tracks and signs of the lions or hyenas, and also looking at these antelope to see if they look particularly stressed or nervous, that maybe they've seen a predator recently. These impalas look alert, but not particularly worried. They have to be alert at all times because they are basically on the menu of every large predator. But they don't look like they've seen one very recently. It's not to say that they haven't seen one. Maybe they have seen one and it just didn't look like it was hungry. Yeah, we did catch that impala in a rather uncomfortable position as we opened up that scene. But, action shots, very important. And so you can see these impala now are just, pushing their ears forward, looking around. Some are eating. There will always be some members of the herd that are feeding whilst some are on the lookout, and then vice versa. It's actually a really cool shot to see the difference between a male and a female. Look how thick and strong that male's neck is, and the female is much more slender. That male looks like he's going to fall asleep. But yes, of course, the males have to fight with those horns. they need to strengthen their neck muscles in order to be able to joust. Sometimes the bouts are lasting quite a long time. All the impala, when one of them runs, they all have to run. Herd mentality. Can't afford to be left alone. I see. It's mostly the male that's just herding females and making sure they don't get away from him. It's not the rutting season right now, but he still has to keep an eye on these females, because when the next rut comes along, if he can hold on to them for a short amount of time, he might just be able to mate with them a few times before another male knocks him off his pedestal. It's gorgeous with that golden grass in the background. Really nice, still actually getting quite warm now in the morning. I think it's going to get up to the mid-30s today, so that's going to be one of the hottest days we've felt so far this well, I guess it's not quite spring yet, but the ender part of winter? My goodness, I can't speak well at all. I've only had 2 or 3 coffees this morning, so half as much as I would normally have had. See how they stop and they feed every now and again. They're actually heading down towards a drainage line, which we just drove through, which might actually have some fairly good vegetation. So they'll probably do some feeding there once it gets a bit warmer, and then maybe head towards Leopard Dam a little bit later in the morning. Well, once they do that, we're going to continue on our hunt for these lions.
Yeah, we're still here with our beautiful wildebeest. I turned the vehicle around and they already walked about 100 meters from where I was. Over there, those are a few zebra, the Burchells or the common zebra. They usually come together, and I think those got separated, or they're quite late, because usually the zebras are far ahead, but you always find them, a few mixed up with the wildebeest. You can tell these guys are very restless. They are moving up and down, so they're actually not going to settle here. These are dangerous grounds because the grass is high, very easy for large predators like lions, leopards to stalk them. So they'll have to continue moving. Well, they are very, very noisy when you're close to them. I've had experiences where I've thought to myself, why can they not be quiet? Because predators will detect them. Yes, of course, they are very noisy, day and night. They seem to have lots of itch. I think there's a few flies biting them. Every now and then I see them, scratching themselves. See that? I don't know if it's because they got rained on and now there's a bit of sun, so they're feeling those flakes coming out of the skin, and they're trying to get rid of them. Yeah, you can tell, they are munching a little bit and moving on, munching a little bit and moving on. Yeah, that little guy wants to drink. Yeah. Theo, thank you for your question. I don't know if I got it right, but you say how far is the sound can be heard? Well, of course, I think if you're downwind, you will hear them more, even if they're about 500 meters. Over here, I'm about 100 feet all around me, and we can hear them. Look at that guy. I don't know what he saw, but he's staring at something. Of course, although there are very many together, they have to be wary, because in each and every area where they're in, it's a lion or a leopard's territory, so they have to be on the watch. And sometimes they pick up the scent that has been left by leopards or lion, and so you see them go alert quite quickly, raise their heads, and usually if they pick up a figure or a lion, they will alarm, and everybody will run towards the right direction, hopefully. If you scan way ahead, James, you will see that there is nothing and that's the direction they're heading. You see that towards the trees and down towards the river. That's where they're heading. These are fast arrivals. They were not here about 2 days ago when I've been scouting, trying to figure out where they are. And so, they have just arrived to this area, and they're gonna continue on all the way towards the airstrip, which is about 5 miles from here. Over there is water, and then they might proceed on to cross the river to the other side we call Musiara, and then around towards Olkiombo, and maybe they'll head back towards the river in a few months. Of course, it doesn't mean that they'll continue direct. They have a mind of their own, and sometimes, they just turn around if it rains back in the Serengeti and start heading back. And for that's what they're called migration. They move back and forth, although they have a focused direction, but they will turn around every now and then, back and forth. That is the farthest they are. You are experiencing this actually firsthand. They haven't been here, so I'm very, very happy to see them this close. A few days ago I had to drive for an hour. Now I just driven for about 20 minutes. So you'll be seeing them more and more and more and more. I'm gonna change positions from here and head towards a bigger herd that I've just seen. Yeah, there's a herd that I've seen down this way to my right. I'm gonna head there, so I'm gonna leave you to enjoy this view, and then I'm gonna proceed on.
We have got a nice spider's web here. And while we look at it, we're also listening out for sounds of the wild dogs, because we found some tracks. They were heading into this area. I think they were from very early this morning, however, and those dogs move a long way in a very short space of time. Now, on a morning like today, when there was a lot of mist, what you'll find is that just about every single tree, as the sun comes up, is covered in these gossamer orbs and nets and funnels and all sorts of different kinds of webs from spiders. And there are literally millions of them all over the bushes here, and we just don't see them unless their webs are covered in mist, as they are today. This is a massive example of the tropical tent web spider, and the spider itself, the owner of this amazing home, is underneath the pile of leaves in the middle of the web. And I can see him from here, or probably her, in fact almost certainly her, but I don't think you can. She's only about 1 centimetre long, like so, but that's pretty big for a tropical tent web spider. So we're going to continue down towards the south. We're facing due south now, and we're going to hopefully pick up some further tracks of that pack of hounds. It's an amazing web, isn't it? Right, let's carry on down. So I think what happened was those dogs were resting on this road last night. They went into Djuma over there sometime very early this morning, probably at very, very first light, and then they cut down towards the south, went hunting, and they've bombshelled all over the place. And where they are now is anyone's guess. And so even though you can find tracks, it's almost impossible to follow them once they've been running around, because they change direction so often. And some hyena tracks there. But it is exciting because it means we may well find them if we cover enough ground this morning. No more signs of elephants, so I think all of them have gone off towards the north. No signs of wild dogs on this road, and that's not a bad thing because this is our border. The wild dogs could have gone off towards the right, but we don't want that. I'll just have a quick look at the dove on the road there. Please don't fly away, Mr. Dove. That's so peaceful as soon as you turn the car off. Dongos. Bloop, bloop. Chagra. Scimitar-bill. Hoopoes. Boop, boop. Boop, boop. Sorry, I missed that one. Let's carry on down the road. Ah yes, Ruth, you're absolutely right. The dove is the bird of peace. Although many birds out here are birds of peace, really. They all make me feel peaceful. Even the vultures, not traditionally known as peaceful birds. Oh, there's a lovely magpie shrike just gone in there. I think we'll carry on though. Alrighty, we'll carry on towards the south, see if we can find these dogs.
Sod on the ducks. Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is an amazing day out here at Swala Kalahari. It is fantastic that you're all with us, wherever you may be in the world. Doesn't matter where you are and what you're doing. It's just great that you're with us. And thank you for joining us. David just working his magic on camera. There we go. And my name's Dylan. And yeah, it's going to be a beautiful day. We've got some really interesting news here. We've got the Shelbys, Shelley, who's sitting on the bank, Sheldon, and then all the others. I'll have to go through those names again. There's 5 there. But if you look in the back left, there's one that's actually been reincarnated. Remember there were 5 yesterday, there's now 6. You got it, David?
Yeah.
How scary is that? Can anyone figure that out? There's a question for the morning. You see, okay, my birders out there, birders. And you can see, look at the other ones, David. Okay, so you can see the other chicks. There we go. They look very similar to that other bird. Okay, so what it is, before everyone gets excited, there wasn't a reincarnation taking place. That other bird that we were looking at is a dab chick. It's also called a grebe. Grebe, called a little grebe, and this is actually quite a young bird. Yeah, he hasn't got the full adult patterning yet, but what we typically see is but it's not dissimilar to those shelduck chicks, in coloration. And again, remember we were talking about how actually well camouflaged they are on the background of a water body with ripples and things, having that black and white variation on the back. That's my own theory. I've got nothing to base on, but I'm just going on that. So this little dab chick over here called a little grebe is a... Peter and Jonathan nailed it. Well done, gents. Very, very, very good. But a beautiful little bird, and they got such a liquid call when you got 2 adults together and they're doing their territorial display in that. But they eat what you call emergent vegetation, so like little water plants and that, like physical, that you can actually see in the water. But what a beautiful morning out here. It is just awesome having you with us. I even have a cup of coffee. I keep forgetting my coffee in the mornings. I have it at home and then I forget to bring it out. I actually make a mug and I just leave it on the kitchen counter. So this morning I actually got that right.
It's going to be a good day. And it's considerably warmer this morning than it was yesterday morning. So I'm hoping for that secret bird to emerge from that branch. If you're keen for me to do that, if you're not, just tell me and I'll do it anyway. But what a gorgeous morning actually. Great to see all the shell duck chicks. Every morning I get here, I'm like, please don't let there be another one missing. But we're still above the 50% mark, so we're actually not doing badly on these chicks as yet.
Here we have got a herd of elephants on our southern boundary. They are not being chased by wild dogs. You wouldn't really expect them to be chased by wild dogs though. But they would alert us if they had seen wild dogs, because they'd make loud trumpeting noises. They're enjoying, in this particular case, a meal of Peltophorum africanum, or the weeping wattle. Lots of wood being eaten this morning. And you can see this. I really love the colour of their skin when the early sun is on them, or on it. The golden grey goes really nicely. To me also, when this stage of the morning comes, there's a change in the atmosphere. The early morning tends to be fairly frenetic. I'm rushing out to try and find tracks of things, follow up on them, and then it slowly warms, so everything calms down to the atmosphere that you can feel now. Lovely comment from Yeti there saying, elephants like wattles in the morning, and you, Yeti, like waffles. Yes, I quite like waffles as well in the morning. Anytime really. Hi. Morning, young man. Here comes the matriarch. See, she's a much older cow than all the others here. Just be able to hear them talking to each other as they move off. Don't want to move the car right now because they are directly behind us. So please excuse the sight of the antenna. can move now, be careful. Just quickly swing. There we go. So you can see now from her disposition why I didn't move when she was close by. She'd been slightly alarmed by our movement. Not badly, not to the extent that she's about to attack or run away. She's just keeping an eye on us. Butterfly, they eat all sorts of tree bark. They really enjoy the root bark of combretum trees. They enjoy the bark of Pterocarpus rotundifolius, which is the round-leaf teak. They enjoy the bark of silver cluster leaf. They love marula bark if they can get it. They really love knobthorn bark if they can get it. So all sorts of different kinds of bark. The little one. Just finding his little way in the world. Tell you what, if you're going to be a little vulnerable thing out here, you'd want to be a little vulnerable thing in a herd of elephants, because they'll look after you. I suppose all creatures out here start off life small and vulnerable, and some really don't have the same protection offered to them that elephants do.
You'll be under the water. Okay, so what we're just going to try to find this little grebe for you again. Okay, on the far left at the branches. Go inside there, there he is there. So what I wanted to just chat briefly about in terms of our conservation, and I'm not talking about swallows specifically. So that bird that we're looking at there is, we've determined it is a little grebe, or some people call it a dabchick, that's the old name. But it's not about that bird there. What I wanted to mention here is, remember I was saying it feeds on this aquatic vegetation. You need this, typically what we call emergent vegetation. And it's not so much about the vegetation, but it's about the actual food items that it's going for that's tucked in amongst it. So there's little insects, like water, like little invertebrates, occasionally little fish and those kind of things. So it needs that vegetation cover, that emergent cover in the water normally in order to be able to hunt successfully. The crazy thing with these birds, and this is just one example, is your water birds typically, and again it's a generalization, but they typically will fly in the evenings, from water body to water body if they're looking for new sources of water. And that's why you can get to a dam like this in the afternoon and there's the little dab chick's not here, or a flamingo or a pelican, whatever it is. And we've had pelicans here before, but just out of interest. You get your first thing in the morning and there's a dab chick. These birds often fly at night and looking for water bodies that actually use the reflection of moonlight and starlight off bodies of water. And where I'm going with this is one of the big conservation challenges that we're having in terms of like green energy and that these days. So you've got these massive solar farms that get put up, and in the area relatively close by, with let's say in a 300-400 kilometer radius of where we are, there's a multitude of these massive solar farms. And the problem there is you often get water birds mistaking these solar farms for bodies of water. And you go there, and then there's like dam chicks are cruising around underneath these solar panels, and the end result's obviously not very good. But it just shows, when you find an odd little bird like this rocking up, there's a reason why they move into areas like this. They're expanding, especially youngsters like this. They're looking for new areas, they're expanding their territories. Just literally looking for water bodies where they can take up residence. I don't think this dam chick's going to be around. As you can see, there's little, if any, vegetation covering the water. There's like microplants, so there's algae and that in the water. That's what these ducks are going to be going for a lot, as well as apart from little invertebrates. But that little dam chick there, it's not going to have enough food, I don't think, in a water body like this to anchor it for any particular length of time. So he'll probably be moving off fairly soon, I reckon. Well, and when I say soon, I don't mean like while we're sitting here necessarily, but Emma has asked, do these pans only fill with water at these water holes? How does it... So if you look at what this awfully ugly thing on the left over there we go, that sarcophagus crypt looking thing, that is a water crib. So we actually pump water into there from a solar panel, a submersible pump down a borehole. So when the sun kicks in, it comes up, it starts trickling in, and when the sun sets, it stops, which is really, really cool. So it's very energy efficient and very water efficient as well. But the water goes in there and then just trickles over. But it is a very, very small volume of water per day. It's adequate. So we've got it super carefully worked out in terms of what each water hole needs per day. But the rest, this big body of water that you're seeing, is all rainwater, and that'll evaporate over the coming months.
We're having the coolest little sighting. Look, it's got... No! That was a red-billed kicked out by the yellow-billed. Amazing. Naughty. And you know why? The red-billed must have caught about 6 insects. I think this termite mound is swarming with something. I can't see what. And this yellow-billed has swooped in because it's slightly larger and kicked the red-billed out. But at least the red-billed got some breakfast. It was incredible just watching it. Swoop, the yellow-bill's horn hunting. Look, it's using its eyes, very visual, see? Wow, it caught something. I have absolutely no idea what that was. This is so cool. See, he's using his eyesight, tilting its head. It's got binocular vision. So by tilting the head, it's more accurate. It's going to go again, I'm sure of it. Are you ready for the hunt? I wonder what it is. I'm guessing ants.
No, anything interested that is...
Did you hear that call? This is so cool. I can't believe that yellow-bill just shoved off the red-bill. I'm actually checking the size difference on my bird app. So the red-bill comes in at 140 grams and the yellow-bill comes in at 190. So the yellow-bill is quite a fair bit bigger with a much bigger beak. The key lies in the beak. And it could see that the red-billed was obviously getting something delicious for breakfast. And... oh, it's got something. So don't forget to send in your questions, everyone. That's why we're here, to try and answer them. Use that hashtag CGTN. see quickly down the gullet because the insect's still alive, it's still moving. So for a bird like the hornbills, they've got to throw the insects to the back of their throat quickly before they lose them. Beat history, you're saying they always look so angry. Do you think so? I think the hornbills look funny. I don't know why. I never think they look angry, but they do have a little bit of a frown. I know what you mean. I think there's other birds that look far angrier, like birds of prey. But I think it's because the hornbills are everywhere in our camp. I cannot even begin to tell you how many times they wake me up. For some reason, they love to tap the glass on the doors of my glass doors. And I always wake up and think someone's at my door, and then I open it and it's just a hornbill. Okay, let's see if I can go around. I may have lost this individual. That was so cool. Sorry, Kirst, one more time. Your comms are breaking up there. Just going back for more. Margaret, you're asking, do hornbills hunt by sight? Mainly, yes. So most birds actually are highly visual, especially your birds of prey. And this hornbill here knows exactly where to go for the insect. So he can hear, but this individual is using his eyes. You see that? He's on the right place. He knows there's food here. He can definitely probably hear it. And he saw the red-billed eating. So he's came to the right place and using his keen eyesight, which is very precise. If you think about a small ant in comparison to the size of this bird and how fast that ant will be moving, you've got to have pretty sharp eyesight in order to get an accurate catch. Or you're going to dive down with that big beak of yours and you're going to completely miss the ant. So they rely heavily, Margaret, on their eyesight. Wow, it was such a wonderful sighting. Now, just to update you, we lost Cara, everyone. She's very skittish, and they actually limit the sightings with her to 2 vehicles for that reason. So once she started to really go through the block, I decided I don't want to disturb her. So I pulled out, and we're now back on Juma. Another success. This is one hungry bird. And morning time is the perfect time for birds to start their day by hunting, especially when they're looking for insects. Live kill happening right now. But it's true, any animal that eats other animals is a carnivore. Not just your apex predators out here, not just your mammals. You see that, Margaret? Eyesight, precision. Whew! I have no idea what it's catching. I imagine ants, but I really can't see. Both the red-billed hornbill and the yellow-billed hornbill are they have similar diets, and it's predominantly insects. But the yellow-billed is known to be quite ambitious and also eats small geckos and lizards and even frogs. Whereas the red-bill that's gone now tends to stick to insects and will complement their diet with some seeds and fruit. Yummy. So that yellow beak can go far. It can go quite deep into holes, and they can use it for digging in order to get the insects under the ground. GM, you said it's called stab and swallow. The SS technique, yes, stab and swallow. That's exactly why they have that beak. I love it. Okay, we're gonna let this yellow-billed hornbill eat his breakfast, and we are heading to the hyena den.
Welcome back, everybody, to Beyond Phinda, where we've stumbled across this white rhino bull who was getting a little bit of shelter in a bit of a thicket quite close to a watering hole, and you can see above his left eye a little bit of a nick that we're zooming in on there. On the right side is even worse. In fact, a little bit more of a gash on that side, just above his eye. There were one or two red-billed oxpeckers on him earlier, irritating him, but he was, I think we disturbed him in his quiet spot. In a bit of a turn of events, the winds picked up quite significantly here, and not very fond of wind rhinos. They rely quite heavily on their sense of hearing, which, if we have a look at those ears, you can see are working overtime, tuned into everything. And I think, just judging by where those wounds are, he was probably in a fight with another rhino bull. Shame, not ideal, just because of where they are. Might be a little bit irritating, especially having those oxpeckers come and peck at that. But very sort of superficial wounds, and they will definitely heal in time, and he'll carry on. Maybe just a bigger, more powerful bull that happened to get the better of this particular chap. But you can see, have a look at all those scars on his back from walking through this very dense vegetation. Very tough skin, that. So he wouldn't feel that, but it looks a little bit uncomfortable. But those ones he wouldn't feel. Maybe the ones by his eye. Luckily his eyes, we had a good look earlier. Rhino do, funny enough, have particularly small eyes in comparison to the size of their head. Very, very small, and not the best of eyesight. Probably better than what we give them credit for, but like I was saying earlier, they rely quite heavily on their sense of hearing and their sense of smell. And that's why on a day like today, where the wind's picked up significantly, he'll probably head into a little bit more of a sheltered area, like that watering hole just off to our left-hand side, out of picture, down in a dip where he can hear a little bit better, and maybe smell things coming towards the watering hole, and then hear things coming from the opposite end. But both his eyes are unaffected. We had a good look at them just now through the binoculars. But very interesting, that sort of white on both sides of that wound, and I wonder if that's not maybe ash or something like that perhaps someone else rubbed up against, or his opponent that rubbed up against, then that gave it to him. Or on the other hand, it was maybe him who found a bit of a termite mound or something like that yellow-billed hornbill was picking at now, just to go and sort of shape that horn of his. You can see he's got quite a bit of growth there that he would then shape to help defend himself against other bulls. You see, also just gauging us, what we are making sure we're not a threat, but I'm sure he'll head back down to the watering hole, and we'll probably leave him in peace this morning and carry on to see what else we can find.
Well, rhinos will always be amazing, and they're always nice to see. Welcome back to the Mara. We're in the Masai Mara, the beautiful Masai Mara. Remember, if you want to talk to us, #WildEarth. This is CGTN Digital Safari, and look what we found. This is a young male, and there is two females and one massive Mufasa, or lion, or Simba, if you want to call him. We saw them from quite a distance, and it took us quite a while to get here. You can see the camouflage. If you're looking from a distance, the color contrast between the grass and them is just almost the same. So you have to know what you're looking for. I'm very, very lucky to have found them from a distance. They have a carcass, and guess what it is? It's the biggest buffet of the year. Another wildebeest. Well, I feel sorry for the wildebeest, but the lions have to leave. Sometimes, you think they're cruel, but there's nothing else for them to do but to eat meat, and it has to be something of the wild. Well, although lions do kill the wildebeest, come again? I didn't hear that question. Sorry. This is the Owino's pride, everyone. This young male here, he must have been one of the scruffy young males we saw last year, February, but he's looking fantastic now. You can tell the male is getting bigger. This male is one of I think he's a new one to me. I'm still looking at him. He's got a notch on his nose, so I think I know him. Yeah, I'll be finding out the name, but I can see he's got a little notch on the nose. I'll be telling you either this afternoon or tomorrow morning when I look at my pictures and confirm. You can tell he's quite matured. Look at all the scars in his face. He's been through a lot, and that is what lions' life consists of. Getting bitten, getting scratched. Yeah, that's a young, beautiful female there. It's one of the girls. I haven't seen the young cubs that I saw last year. Yeah, so I haven't seen the cubs yet, but hopefully we'll see them that I saw last year. Let's see more lions and rhino interaction.
Black rhino are well known for their short tempers, while young cats for their curiosity. With every encounter comes an opportunity for young lions to be taught a new lesson, but sometimes it is by a slightly more hostile teacher. A rhino calf seemed like a feasible meal for these youngsters, even when guarded by its well-armored parents. This was a chance for the lions to work on their stealth, maneuvering through the long grass without being caught out. However, black rhinos' good hearing and keen sense of smell make up for their poor eyesight, and with the change in the wind, the scent of lions set the rhino bull off. Elephants are also not ones for fun and games when lion can be smelt in the grass. Unable to find the well-camouflaged cats, the defensive mothers redirect their annoyance at the substantially smaller but steadfast rhino bull. The bull stood his ground and the mothers finally retreated. An unexpected turn of events for the day's lesson. Considering the commotion, all three families continued on unscathed. The elephants annoyed, the rhino bull admired, and the three young lions, hopefully, just a little bit wiser.
Wasn't that such an incredible sighting? All these different species together in one area. I do miss the Owino pride. Incredible pride always taking down buffalo during the day. Now, from a mammal apex predator, we also have an aerial predator, a batalier. One of my favorites, actually, and this individual is probably waiting until it gets a little bit warmer. It's still very chilly, in order to ride those thermals to give them enough lift into the air and start looking for something to hunt. And just going on the yellow-billed hornbill that we saw, this batalier is also extremely visual, has incredible eyesight, and this is actually a male we're looking at here, relying on the eyesight to see what is lurking on the ground below. Now, they're probably one of the most uniquely designed birds due to that extremely short tail, but it has a purpose. And the purpose is to sort of rely on aerodynamics, reduce drag, and be able to fly as low as possible, as close to the ground, in order to, well, get food before the other competitors come in. And that will include your vultures, your tawny eagles. So this batelier is very special indeed. And I am still on my way to the hyena den.
Yeah, the reason why lions are always interesting is they are a sign of dominance, sign of supremacy. Look at that young female, she's eaten too much. Look at that. Oh, yeah, I miss you. That's sort of the behavior they portray, strengthening their bonds, applying each other's scent so they smell the same and so they can recognize each other. I think she was the first one to eat, and she has eaten quite a lot. Yeah, she's got a notch on her left ear. You see that? That is another sign that I'll be looking for when I look at my lion pictures, to be able to tell you who she is. Now it's cleanup time. Yeah, licking their front legs in apart and then rubbing their noses hard onto the skin, removes all that blood that has been applied while they're feeding, very much like a cut. That tongue is so rough it would peel a human skin off if they were to lick you. It's like sandpaper number 6, so you don't want to be licked by a lion. Anushka, thank you for your question. You asked me what I like about being a guide. One of them is the freedom to be out in the bush, where sometimes there are rules, and if you follow them, you still can enjoy life much more than being, out in the concrete jungle in the city. Also, seeing new places, seeing animals in their natural habitat like this, I think is godly. It's a gift that I take it and I receive it with both hands. It's not something that you see, everybody has. So this is what I like about being a guide. Being here, seeing such a thing is a wonderful feeling. Look at that guy. He's got that look. I don't know what he's thinking. Yeah, from where we are, behind me is the plains of the Masai Mara, and these guys can see very well, so they are scanning down, looking at the wildebeest, looking at giraffes and elephants way down. Yeah, it looks like he heard I was talking about him, so I'm just gonna wait for him to open his eyes and look at me again, and I'm gonna be here for a little bit longer.
So here we are at our infamous tree that we sat at yesterday morning, to no avail, I might add. But I'm thinking we are also going to, I think I might not stick with this tree. This creature, this animal, this gorgeous little thing is still inside you 100%. But I'm going to drop another clue for you, is that it's still quite, well, it's not that cold this morning. Remember I said it's a little bit warmer than yesterday, but there's a breeze pushing in from the south, quite a cold breeze, and for that reason I don't think it's going to be coming out soon. And so I'll wait for a slightly warmer day and then we'll do this again. And therein lies the clue here. So you can figure it out if you really feel like picking your brains at it. But yeah, I think David and I, we're going to just keep on ambling along, this little creature is still inside here, and I'm super excited to show him to you. But I don't think it's going to be massively productive if we do that this morning. They haven't located the Rockstar meerkats, so don't panic. We are going to move, so we will not stay at a tree. And no, I haven't eaten any dodgy mushrooms, I promise you. And the fact that I'm going to be moving on now would plead in my favor for my sanity, trust me. So I think let's keep moving. Maybe we can pick up something like... A wee moose has guessed the lizard. Perhaps you're right. Perhaps you're not right. But let's leave it at that. So I think we'll let's move on and we'll return to this tree on a slightly warmer day.
Hyena den is active. It's incredible. There's a carcass and it looks relatively fresh to me. I don't think it can be the same one that James had with the wild dogs last night. We've got Ribbon, Sutu to the side here. I think Tima's the other one, but I need to check. And then we've got Corky's tiny little baby popping his head out of the hole here. Oh no, it's got back down again. Watching the whole thing unfold. Now, Ribbons 2, Gwazi and Shimbulu are really digging into this carcass. Look at them. Oh. This is fresh, this carcass. Well, sorry, what is left of this impala. Corky's cup is squealing. I think you can all hear that. But it's not coming out because his mom's not here. This impala is relatively fresh. I wonder where it's came from. It is so good to arrive and have an active hyena again, and look at Ribbon's belly. My goodness, that is fit to burst. So they stole the wild dog, the Pungwe Pack's kill last night. James managed to find them. But I think this impala here, this ram, is much fresher than that. This is the first time I've seen this pair, these twins, really dig into meat. I've seen them nibble before, but nothing like this. This is my first time. Wow. I have no idea what's happened with this impala, but I believe so, yes. I think the adults have just brought it back to the den for everyone to feed. Oh. Ribbon's going to steal the whole thing. And yes, they will bring food back for the cubs, although the cubs are very much still in milk as well. It's now time for them to get used to having meat. Get their tummies ready, their immune systems ready. The noises. So I think they will have carried this back. I think they will have got this impala somehow. Did they take it down themselves? Possibly. They can hunt. Did they scavenge? Possibly. They do scavenge. Is it from a leopard? Is it from wild dogs? I don't know. There's really nothing left of this impala though. It could be from last night, but just looking at Ribbon, just got fresh blood on her. Really fresh. Hyenas need to eat a lot and they're highly opportunistic. So if an opportunity presents itself, they will really gorge themselves and keep eating until they are quite literally fit to burst. And this is the life of a predator out here. Feast or famine. I can't believe these little cubs. Not so little anymore. Many of you are commenting on the huge bellies, yes. Huge. Yes, we've got a whole herd of zebra walking past us up the side. That's what they're looking at. I'm not sure he can, but let's try. Completely unfazed. A dazzle of zebra walking past the hyena tank. Now, for those of you who maybe missed yesterday's afternoon drive, Shidulu was stalking the cubs from this termite mound. They were out with no adults, all three of them, and Shidulu was stalking them, which was a very scary moment all round. But luckily, nothing happened. Oh, Corky's cub's back out. There we go. Well done, Theo. Oh, what's happening? I want some of that impala. Okay, we've got another hyena coming in. I don't know if it's going to come just yet. Let's just wait and see. Greeting ceremony. We've got a greeting ceremony happening. I just want to stay focused on Ribbon for now. There is a hyena trying to come in, but I want to see Ribbon's behavior if this hyena comes closer. Ribbon's the matriarch, of course. Wow, this den is so active. Okay, this other hyena's getting quite close. Just want to see all the interactions because that normally tells you a lot of information. Is this individual welcome? Are they not welcome? Crunching through the horns, trying to snap the horns. And they can. They've got enough bite force behind that sort of power in their jaws to do that. Many of you are enjoying the sounds. They are incredible, aren't they? Hyenas are extremely vocal. They can't contain it. They're very, very vocal beings. They have one of the strongest bite forces of all mammals. I think we have heart here with Ribbon. It looks like Ribbon, her two little ones. Sutu and Heart. Now, although the full bellies really don't look pleasant, it could be days and days again before they get food. And that's the life of an apex predator out here. So that's why Ribbon is gorging herself. I think it's Heart's gorging herself, and the cubs are just enjoying every single moment of this. You can hear them crunching through the bones. Hyenas are known to eat bones, swallow the bones, crunch them. Their digestive systems can handle it, and it means that they produce incredibly calcium-rich milk, which is why they're able to suckle their young for so long. Laura, I don't think so. I know that because the bite force behind this, the sort of action of the jaws is so incredible, and they can lock down. I've never heard of a hyena snapping a tooth, but they can chip them, of course, and as they get older, the teeth do start to wear and tear. And that, just like Tandy, she's an apex predator, but you'll see that one of her sort of lower teeth is chipped. That's another reason you can age an animal, by looking at the condition of their teeth. They'll also go very, very yellow. But as for breaking a tooth, I've never heard that happen, but I guess it could if they misjudge. And you know, animals out here really don't have to clean their teeth. They don't have to worry about things like that we do. There was a little bit of aggression there. Competition. Ribbon exerting her dominance, but not too much. Okay, we're gonna sit here and watch all the drama unfold at the hyena den.
Welcome back to the Masai Mara, guys. My lions have decided to move, maybe find a fresh spot with no carcass smell. Remember this, we're coming live to you from the beautiful Masai Mara, East Africa, Kenya. You can chat to us on hashtag CGTN Wild or hashtag Wild Earth. Interact with us, ask us questions, make it much more interesting. I don't know why they decided to move on, but they're quite a distance away now, the young male and two females. They're split a little bit. Sometimes this works when they leave a spot, stay at distances, and when something comes, one can chase it towards the other. I don't know the strategy here because the male is heading off to the right. Maybe he's heading towards that big rock and that shade. I don't know if there is enough shade. I lost the other female. I don't know where she is. She could be ahead of that male. I don't know. But Julian, thank you for your question. A lion is quite fast, but for very short bursts, up to around 100 meters, they can catch top speeds of up to 60 kilometers an hour. That is a very quick burst. They are not made for running. They're meant or built for strength, bringing down big stuff. Yes, I hope I've answered your question. Mufasa just stood up, or actually like just raised his head, and he's scanning his domain. I don't know what he heard. Remember, they have very keen sense of hearing and smell, and he might have heard something that I didn't hear. Now he's staring at something way down in the plains. From where he is, there's a very good view. We'll be sharing it with you later on when I turn the vehicle. I had to position like this so we could give you the, the face. That man is mature, and this is he's at his prime. You can tell it's a mixture of blonde and black. I would give him a good 10 years. He's been through a lot. Yeah, this is a magnificent specimen. This is a lion that everybody who comes to the Masai Mara wants to see. There are very many, but sometimes very hard to come across, because once they've eaten, they will rest 18 to 20 hours. Yeah, for digestion to take place. Yes, see how fast he's panting? Let me try and count how many in a minute, and I'll come back to you.
So this tiny little dry thing that we've got over here is quite an interesting one. I just wanted to point it out to you quickly while I've seen it. It's completely dead. It is dried out underneath. This is a dead one, but it's a very interesting little plant. There's the remnants of the shoots that's sticking out above, that would have been sticking out above ground. So this would all have been below ground. It's just this little part that would be above ground.
Depend on the space you can put TV if you don't mind.
Sorry about that, everyone. I'm just on the radio. Bear with me. Sorry, Rexon. Can you repeat one more time?
Lauren, yes, you just you have to check whether you have space where the hyena are. If there's a space for 2 vehicles, you can push 2 vehicles, no problem.
Copy. Thanks, Rexon. And Singer, make your way. Sorry about that, everyone.
We got it all of that, Lauren. We're not in a rush. We can slowly make our way. But if there is place, then we'll slide in there next to you.
No worries, you're welcome. See you soon. Sorry about that. Everyone wants to see this action because it's not been active like this in so long. And Chris Rogue, you say that other hyena was Falco. Falco's probably the hyena I know the least. He's a male, he's an immigrant male, but new to the clan, so I don't imagine these females will welcome him too much. They prefer males that have shown loyalty and tenure over longer periods of time, like Saka. Now, there was an article on hyena milk, and it states that it's so rich, it's got a protein content of almost 15%, and a fat content of around 15%. So that's why, unlike your lions and your leopards, hyena cubs can actually go a long time before they actually have to feed. But it really depends on diet, and the hyenas here are said to scavenge a lot more than the likes of the Mara. There are differences between hyenas in different areas, so let's go and check out exactly what those differences are.
The spotted hyena is one of Africa's most versatile carnivores. They are able to make themselves at home in vastly different habitat types. The landscapes of the Western Kruger and Masai Mara have little in common, so the hyena of each area must take up shelter in very different spaces. In the rich black soils of the Mara, the clans den in secret burrows below the long grass. While safe from the predators, the burrows are not very waterproof, causing quite the muddy mess when the rains come. In the western Kruger, termite mounds rise out of the sandy soil. Once occupied by aardvark or warthog, they are the perfect shelter for vulnerable hyena cubs, hard as concrete and dry for the most part. Hyena mothers will move their dens from time to time, often as a result of crowding or unwanted attention from other predators. Subordinate females will feed away from the den, bringing food to their cubs in the form of milk, while dominant mothers and their cubs will monopolize any takeaway meals they can get their paws on. These dens are unique havens of safety and hubs of social activity for one of Africa's most complicated carnivores.
From an amazing hyena sighting. It's like my classic default though. We'll have a leopard and an elephant and I'll show you something tiny and dead normally. But anyway, the amazing thing about this little plant here is they grow literally this deep under the surface. That's the surface of the soil dish. We've got other species that are also bulbs, but they grow a lot deeper, like sometimes like a foot down. What on earth would be the difference for that? So there's a very, very, very good reason for that. This little thing is incredibly toxic. If you want to get like really ill, go munch this thing. But those ones that are hidden a lot deeper are normally super, super, super palatable, and that's their defense strategy. You know, if you've got a ton of toxins in you and you don't taste good, you can sit very, very comfortably on or just below the soil surface because you don't care if a porcupine digs you out because it's probably unlikely that it's going to do that. Whereas if you're very palatable, you want to be hidden as deep below the soil as reasonably possible. Obviously, I mean, you can't go down to some ridiculous depth because there's like limits to everything. But it's just amazing to see these strategies on the same kind of root structure. You get these bulbs, and one is like right on the soil surface, and the other one is really, really deep. But as we go into the growing season, and these start flowering, you'll see just how spectacular. I've got a picture, it's like a really dodgy picture. I don't mean the book is dodgy. For those of you who like the book, it's a really good book. It's this top one over here. Very, very pretty flowers. But like I say, super, super, super toxic.
So the feast is still happening. Look at this. Now, immediately, look at this scenario. Ribbon is the one on the carcass. Ribbon is the one that's getting all the juicy, yummy parts. So if I wasn't aware that Ribbon was the matriarch, just by sitting here observing, you can almost already tell everyone is bowing down and responding to Ribbon. She's the one getting all the access to the yummy, delicious male impala. The behavior is obvious. Everyone else is waiting. Do you see that? And she probably will let them eat, but only when she's full. And that's why Ribbon has changed substantially since becoming the matriarch. Shamsi, I have no idea. I have never been inside this den, I'm afraid. No? Is Sudu going to play with Cubby? Or just looking for shade? Shade. I really don't know. I imagine it extends quite far down, but I have never been inside, so I don't know. An old termite mound, and most likely was probably used by an aardvark or something like that. And they were the ones that dug it out to be quite deep, and then the hyenas have taken over and probably done a lot of refurbishment, shall we say. The little ones. Now they won't be able to eat too much. They'll only be able to take little bites, but they definitely are eating the meat, that's for sure. Well, I don't know if you can see this, Theo, because of the tree, but we've got Ngwazi playing with Sutu. Oh, lovely. Oh, that's a whole lot of excitement right there. Sutu is June's daughter, classified as a sub-adult, which is probably why the cubs love her so much. This is not dominant behavior or aggressive. It's another hyena incoming. Everybody's here. Wow, the Dane is busy. I think this is Luca. You can see the smiley face. I'm not sure if you can all see it, but I can see not the actual face, but on the tummy. Yeah, there's a smiley face right there. That's how I always identify Luca. Luca's a male. He's been with the clan quite some time. He's not a new immigrant male, but he's still avoiding Ribbon. He's welcome around the den, but respect your matriarch. The cuteness is still continuing over here. Look at that. Oh, no, we're hungry again. We're gonna go back to food. Now, I mention this a lot, but Ribbon's boys will grow big fast. And that's because they will live a much better life. They will get more access to food, and they will sort of get the most nutrition. Butterfly, you're asking exactly how many teeth does a hyena have? They're said to have 34, which is actually more than leopards. 34 teeth. And the sounds of the crunching through bones send shivers down my spine. A little bit of dominance there from Ribbon. Okay, I'm gonna sit here and continue watching all of this unfold at the Juma Hyena Den.
Welcome back to the Masai Mara, everyone. Yes, we're still here with our carcass and our male lion. He's been left on duty, and I don't know if he's gonna decide to leave, but he's very alert. Typical lion pose, very relaxed. Look at that mane, stretches all the way, half his body. That is a truly magnificent, mane, very beautiful, dark color. This mane acts very much when they're fighting for territorial bouts. It cushions the skin, so it reduces, the neck from getting, scratches and being hit. So it cushions the neck, from injuries, and also it does intimidate intruders from a distance. Look at those canines. Yeah, you can tell, I don't know if he's going to be able to open a little bit more so we can see the tip, see if they're worn out or not. But look at that, he's lost a few carnassials in between the canines, so he's aged, and I can tell the tip is a bit worn out. So he's also, that is a sign of maturity. Yeah, they're about 2.5 inches long. Those are very essential, for fighting, for killing. Very, very useful. And once, if he loses one or loses both, then it's like a death sentence, because competition becomes slower, and eventually he does, starve or die if he doesn't have them. He's lost a bit of his whiskers. That's also a sign of aging. Look at those battle scars in his face. He's been through a lot. Look at that, that look. A Mufasa, typical Mufasa look. Yeah.
So I know this is a long distance shot here. We got a bit of wind movement on the vehicle, so forgive us if there is a little bit of movement on that frame there. This is the pale chanting goshawk, one of the pair that we've been searching for quite a while. We've had a couple of odd sightings here and there, but we're looking for the nest of these birds. Now the partner of this one is actually sitting behind the vehicle at about 1 kilometer distant. We can even barely see it from where we are, just sticking out the tops of the tree. So we're not going to go there, but we're going to look at this one here. So I'm really, really, really chuffed that we located this pair again, because this nest, I think, is going to be fairly close to where we are here, and we really need to try and get this nest for you. And I'm going to be putting in a lot of effort onto this over the next couple of days, even weeks. Because like I said, this is slap bang in the middle of the meerkat area, the shelduck area. I mean, we like building up a whole picture, and that's what I want to try and do, try achieve, is that we build up all these characters within a relatively small area, because then you can start seeing how they interact. Habion says goshawks are the best. You know what? In so many ways I agree with you there, because they are just such charismatic birds, but also such adaptable raptors. Out of all of the birds that prey on swallow, this species, pale chanting goshawk, is probably the single most adaptable with the widest prey range. I've seen them chasing things on the ground, literally running after things on the ground to catch them. They will catch things in mid-flight if they have to. They'll go for snakes, mammals. Those shelducks are not exempt from being predated on by these birds. So I mean, they've got a huge prey range that they'll go for, and very, very, very adaptable. And if you look at their distribution across southern Africa, it really is testament to just how adaptable they are. We're getting 2 species where our colleagues are working. The ones that they'll be showing you down there will all be what we call dark chanting goshawks. These ones are, and there he goes, these ones are called pale chanting goshawks.
Welcome back, everybody, to and Beyond Phinda, where we have found quite a large herd of zebra, as well as a number of giraffe. There's a couple of wildebeest in the distance, and then a couple of white rhino just behind this zebra that you're looking at, off to the right hand side. You might just be able to see the ears just now, but in the distance are those wildebeest. You can see they're heading in the opposite direction. Not quite the numbers that you would get in the Mara at this time of year with the migration. You can see even that zebras notice them in the distance. Extremely sharp eyes. And a little bit further off to the right hand side, which you might be able to see the ears of as we zoom in, are what look like about 4 white rhino. A couple of moms and their calves and older calves. But just the backs of them, and they look like they've actually just come from Annette. We're not too far from our rainy season, towards the end of the year. I'd say October, November is when we start to hopefully get our rain. There you see top right is one of the rhino, to the middle of your screen is the back of one, and then on the far left hand side is another. So yeah, we're hoping for our rain towards the end of the year is when, rainy season. But this year we had quite late rains up until, and even now into winter, a couple of odd bouts of a good decent amount of rain, which is why you see some areas are still a little bit greener than others. We're going to stick around here and see if these giraffe don't venture any closer to us. It would be quite interesting to see them feeding on quite low vegetation.
It's still chaos here with everyone wanting to finish the last scrap of impala. Now, going back to that question about how many teeth do they have, we get asked a lot, why don't animals get tooth decay? What do they do that humans can? First of all, dental disease is completely man-made. We weaken our dental structure, we eat a lot of terrible foods filled with not so good carbohydrates and sugars and all sorts of things. And if you think wild animals do not eat anything like that, number one. But even if you think of homeopathy, there's a very famous sort of expression, like cures like. So in order to cure, you use something very similar to what is wrong. And bone is made from a very, very similar material to teeth. So wild animals out here, especially hyenas, crunching through the bones will actually act as a toothbrush. Or maybe not a toothbrush, but a tooth cleaning mechanism. Also is used in chemistry when you're referring to like solvents and all sorts of chemicals, if you can throw your brain back to school. And normally the expression is like dissolves like. So by these animals constantly crunching through bones, they're cleaning their teeth. And that's why tooth decay is actually completely unknown in the predator world, in the wild. Whereas humans, well, that's a completely different story, what we do to our teeth and all the things that we eat. Yes, you're right, the cubs are so spoiled with this impala. They are. They really are. Especially compared to Corky's little one, who's not ready to go on meat just yet. It won't have the same opportunities as these two do. And that's just what is going to be the life of a low ranker, I'm afraid. But it's staying in the den because it's so young, it's too dangerous to be out right now, and mommy's not here. See the hyena on the right? I'm sure it's hard keeping her head down like that. Very submissive. Ribbon, don't worry, you're still the boss. But these boys, these twins are really not that aggressive. I've seen hyena cubs who are high-ranking be so much more aggressive. And I often wonder if it's to do with their mother's history. Ribbon was a low ranker at one point in time. Oh, many of you are feeling sad for Corky's cub. Please don't. She's actually, I don't know why I keep saying he or she has a much better life than as if they were completely alone. This little cub has this pair, Ngwazi and Shimbulu, to protect it and to just keep it company. Imagine if Corky's little one was in this den completely alone. There's lots of activity, there's lots of adults around. They spend their days together playing. I came here many times and found the three of them out of the den playing, but of course we can't stay here when there's no adults, so we leave. And Corky does come, I promise you. It's just a little bit harder for Corky to find food, to get access to food. And that's why she needs to go away for a few days, feast, eat, stock up, and then come back with lots of nutritious milk for her little one. And Courtney's little one's learning. She's learning from this pair here. My goodness, they're really enjoying this, aren't they? I wonder if it is the same Impala from last night. It actually could be now that I'm a little bit closer and I can see, well, what's left. Okay, I'm going to continue to sit here and hold my nose.
So what we've got, she's just going to have a quick look at some of the trees in the area. We are in the nesting season now. We are in the nesting season now, and that's so even if they don't necessarily have eggs or chicks at the moment, I really want to locate the nest. And it's literally going to be a matter of doing a bit of legwork, putting in the hours and actually trying to pin these birds down, because if we can find that nest, it is going to be some fantastic viewing over the next couple of weeks. And some of it might be a little bit gory. You know, you can get them bringing meerkats back to the nest, you can get them bringing doves back, whatever. I don't care what as long as they don't bring a shelduck nestling or duckling back to the nest, then I can be quite happy. But anyway, it'll be really interesting if I can find where this nest is for you guys, and we can start following these birds over the coming weeks. I'm not saying that they do have eggs, and I'm not saying that they do have chicks at the moment, but if we can just even find the nesting platform, then we're going to be really, really in a good position. So my signal is going to get a little bit dodged, so if you go back to one of the other, but I'm going to start walking and then see if I can get a bit.
Welcome back everybody to Anbian Pinda, where we've got a little bit of a better view of this tower of giraffe as they stand peering at what looked like a little group of vervet monkeys out of picture behind us, hopping through this long grass. I think that's caught their attention. You can see they're all fixed in a certain spot, but of no threat to them. That's exactly how they would alert us to predators like cheetah, lions, or even something like a leopard, the way they remain fixed like that. But yeah, of no threat to them, those vervet monkeys. They've all just come out of a very dense quarry area that I think they were feeding on the remains of the berries from the season, or the fruits of the quarries, which have a little bit more nutrients in them for them. But yeah, we're actually quite lucky to be where we are, because a lot of them, I think I counted 8 earlier, are all slowly but surely heading towards us.
Here we have got a duiker, a little grey duiker. And we're back on our southern boundary. We've been following tracks of wild dogs all morning, but what we have here is a gentle antelope instead. Not so gentle all the time. They have been known to eat meat from time to time. So they're not entirely without violence in them. And it is a cute little thing. This is actually remarkable, because normally they are terrified, and we don't really have good sightings of them very often at all. This is the second smallest antelope we get here. And in actual fact, they're a very varied group, the duikers. There are lots and lots of different kinds. And most of their diversity occurs in forests rather than these broad-leafed woodlands. And that was that. Well done, BK. We also had a little sparrowhawk here. Let's see if that little sparrowhawk is... Oh, there it is. Is right... Ooh. You see up in the tree there, BK? That's really quite special. Oh, that's nice. That's not a bird we see often. Shinanyana. Shilentla. Go. I'm just telling the guy next to us because he thought we'd maybe had some wild dogs. So that's the little sparrowhawk, one of 5 or 6 different accipiter species that we get. Those are the hawks, and this particular one has got yellow eyes and yellow cere and yellow legs. Not very easy to see from this picture that you're looking at. And what he will be looking for is little birds to eat, mainly. So all those sweet little crombecs and aeromomelas and that sort of thing. Ruby, you said there's a new bird for you. Well, I'm very glad to have found this new bird for you. They're not uncommon. It's just that they're normally pretty secretive and they don't sit out in the open like this one's doing.
Welcome back everybody to And Beyond Phinda, where this tower of giraffe haven't moved a muscle. You can see they're all busy ruminating at the moment, chewing on previously digested food. But now if we pan out a little bit more, we might be able to see all 8 of them in picture. There we go, they're the last 3 joining the 5 on the left hand side. And an amazing shot of the 8 of them silhouetted against the horizon. It's almost as if they're reluctant to make their way to the woodlands behind us, which I can imagine will be a little bit easier for them to Joel, I think it varies between males and females, males being slightly longer, but I'd say a good sort of 2 and a bit meters maybe. Not 100% sure what that is in feet, but they've got extremely long necks. But the same amount of vertebra that you and I have, Joel, in a giraffe. And you can actually watch, I'm not sure if we zoom in on that one that's facing us, busy chewing now. If it stops chewing, you'll be able to watch that cut go all the way down its throat, and then it will bring more back up. It's actually quite amusing to watch as it does it. But now that it's on the move again, we might not be able to see it as clearly. Have a look at those 2 in the middle now. And they look like 2 young males doing what they call necking. So that's their equivalent of fighting, sizing one another up like that. And they'll actually, if they do carry on, throw their heads at one another and try push each other off balance to establish who the more dominant of the 2 is. But it looks like quite a lackluster attempt at... Oh. These 2 are still quite young, so I think just sort of testing the ropes between one another as to who the more dominant of the 2 is. There might be quite a big bull in this herd. But yeah, not something that we get to see very often is that necking that those 2 are doing. See how the one's a little bit off balance, the one on the right now. American women, yes, it is actually very special to see them doing that necking behavior or that fighting of theirs. Like I said, it's not the most sort of intense necking that can get quite vicious between older bulls, but not something that we see very often at all. They got a little bit of an audience behind them. I'm not sure if you can see those black and white stripes at about their knee height behind them. Not too interested in watching them, but they, I think, are just seeing what it's all about, this necking story, these two young male giraffe. Beautiful scenes. They're slowly but surely starting to make their way back into the woodlands behind us. I think it's a little bit easier for them to feed there than it is here in these quarries. These quarries are really low. Exactly that, Rosemary. Sometimes an eyeball, sometimes you see males' necks get sort of very patchy from all of that necking or fighting that they do. But exactly that. I don't think either of these two will lose an eye, luckily, in this bout. But it is an event where they can start to lose things like their eyesight. I think you see they've lost interest now. They're more interested in seeing where everyone else is going.
Still lots of feasting going on, and what's been so fascinating is watching the interactions between Ribbon and Hart. Now, Hart and Ribbon have always had a close relationship, and recent science states that they will remain with those, I say loosely friendships, but alliances. And from what I can see here, we've got Ribbon at the top, naturally, and then her daughter and Tima will also have that silver spoon in the mouth and become sort of number 2 on this hierarchy, and I think Hart's number 3. So although Hart's patiently waiting at the side, Ribbon's not really chasing her away or putting that tail up and acting extremely dominant. Not really. She's getting a little bit annoyed with her and she snaps, but essentially speaking, Hart's very welcome here. So it's Ribbon and Tima, then Hart. It's June and Corky that I'm not sure about. Hart's hungry, she wants some. And I think Corky's at the bottom, actually, but it's June I'm really confused about. I personally have not seen June at this den. Doesn't mean she doesn't come. I've seen June a lot recently with Tandy and then the wild dog kill, but I've not seen June at this den. June's daughter, Situ's always here, but not June. That's the puzzling fact. Oh my goodness, where? Oh my goodness. That's pretty much the whole spinal cord and ribs gone into that den. Oh no, it's going to make it very smelly in there. Poor Hart. Dripping in saliva. And Ribbon still crunching through the skull. Grey beard, it really depends. Normally, seasonally, winter can be very harsh for them. Summer seems to bring a lot more life, a lot more young prey for them. And oh, Hart trying to get it back out the den. Oh my god, this is so fascinating. So yes, it's a life of feast or famine for any predator. So if hyenas could, they would eat all day, every day. But it doesn't work like that. Because they gorge themselves, you can see Ribbon's belly is so full, she'll take a few days to rest and digest. But it's a life of opportunities. Seize any opportunity when you can. So I would say a big kill, like this impala, every 2 to 3 days. But tomorrow, if they come across another wild dog pack that have just hunted something, they will absolutely try to steal. You never know when times are going to get difficult. And that's why they need to eat as much as they can, especially Ribbon. She's got 2 youngsters. Kay Williamson, to be completely honest with you, I don't think the smell is that bad. What do you think, Theo? Theo's actually got his nose covered with his buff, which suggests to me that he may be suffering more than I am. It's really, really not that bad, but now that half of the impala has gone inside the den and will start to rot, the smell may get worse, Kay. It's really not that bad. I can smell the carcass, but from hyenas, I've definitely smelled worse. Ribbon appears to hardly be able to move. She is suffering greatly from this heavy belly. Heart's also very full. Everybody's full. If we just take a look at Sutu over here, in a deep slumber. Resting and digesting in a food coma, I think they call it. Everybody's had their fair share. Shimbulu, I think you should bring that back outside the den. Many of you are laughing at that cub sneaking a snack back. I wonder what Corky's cub will be doing with it inside. It was quite an act of defiance. I'm going to take this into my den and none of you will be able to come. Esranga, you're saying breakfast in bed. That's the one. It's breakfast time after all. You can just sleep and eat and use the carcass as a pillow if you wish. If you're a hyena, anything goes. Oh, Ribbon, I do not know how you are getting anything else inside that tummy of yours. Now, Ribbon's grown so much in her change of status. She was not this big before. She really wasn't when she was a low ranker. And in my opinion, Corky's lost a lot of body weight, a lot of muscle mass. Corky's shrunk. Ribbon's expanded. Okay, Heart's trying to get that out, look. Heart knows it is inside the den. She also knows she's too large to get inside there. How do we do this, Heart? Oh, we give up. 1 to the cubs, 0 to the adults. Heart's got quite a wound on her nose. Can we take a closer look, Theo? Wait till she turns. It's right down the middle. See that? It's quite a nasty gash. Ouch. She will heal though. Hyenas are remarkable. They're remarkably resilient. It takes a lot to bring a hyena down. Ribbon's very tolerant of her 2 cubs feeding on the carcass. She's not snapped at them or growled at them. It's Heart she wasn't too happy with. What a highly busy and entertaining morning. I'm going to sit right here and see what else occurs.
Beautiful visual of some kudu. The bull is the one on the right with the big spiral horns, and then the cows behind it. We've actually been watching them browsing those bushes with the very white stems directly in front of the kudu bull. Those are the shepherd's trees that we've been talking about a couple of times. And remember I said how palatable they are. Animals absolutely love them. It's a super, super, super important species out here for them in terms of browsing species. And it's also one of the most remarkable butterfly trees in the area as a larval host plant for a number of different species. So these kudu are actually just feeding on those as well. And that again just highlighted how important they are out here. Well, I mean, one of the key and very obvious features being is that they're just covered in nice fleshy leaves, even at this time of the year. Linda says he's beautiful. Oh, so right, eh? I love that white chevron on the eye, between the eyes. So a lot of these facial markings are visual, very important visual things, eh? If you think that a lot of these animals see in shades of grey, in other words, we say, oh, they see in black and white. It's not black and white, it's like shades of grey. Those of you of the marginally older generation, and I'm trying to put that as nicely as I can, you'll remember black and white televisions. So imagine you're watching a black and white television, so it'll become shades of grey. So that kudu, for all intents and purposes, just disappears in this landscape. There you go, come on, there we go. That's what I was hoping, that he would actually start feeding while you're watching on that shepherd's tree. Oh, what a beautiful sighting, eh?
Here we have got a small rodent making its way across a clearing. Oh, what has it seen? Oh, something terrifying. Now it is back up the tree, out of sight. Give it a second, it might poke its head out like it did earlier. This is the Smith's bush squirrel, or tree squirrel. Oh, there it is, up top, BK. It's emerged. Ha! Very good at climbing trees, the Smith's bush squirrel, or tree squirrel. Ooh. You got him again? There he is. Yes, exactly, Mr. Zero. He's double checking that there are no dikers about to come and feast upon him in his living room. I say they eat meat. They've been recorded eating meat. It may have. It's not a lot of. It's not a lot of records. But on the left there, we've got a crested barbet. Can you see it on the ground there, BK? To the left, there, just hopping around. Gorgeous colours. Marvellous. Now it's having a fight with a squirrel on the ground. The action is, well, it's too much to describe, as you can hear from my voice. Is this the same squirrel? I think it is.
Welcome back to Anbjorn Pin, everybody. Where in picture we've got one of the more beautiful looking birds who's just flown off, the lilac-breasted roller. And there's a pair of them. Might be able to zoom into the other one who's perched a little bit further back on that dead branch on the right hand side. If it too flies off, I'll have to show you in the book. but the pair of them are actually hunting at the moment. This area behind us was burned yesterday for a fire break, and you can imagine with the fire coming through, all of the locusts, crickets and other insects that will then fly away from them, that these two will then try and hunt. And a couple of times now they've gone and landed and picked at things to eat. There's them, glossy starlings, 1 or 2 fork-tailed drongos that are all in the vicinity waiting for the next moment to find something to eat. And there's even an African hoopoe perched on one of the other trees. Without a doubt, I think it must be one of my favorites too. Just the striking colors that it has in its wings and face. And I'm not even going to bother with the book, because to see it in the flesh is far better. You can see how busy its head is, looking literally everywhere for any little tasty morsel this morning, as it starts to heat up. Things that were maybe disturbed in the fire yesterday might be moving and might find themselves in the clutches of this little lilac-breasted roller. Waiting very patiently on that particular tree. There was a glossy starling that flew past, but we'll see now if it does take off. You'll be able to see that very, very turquoisey color in their wings. In fact, I'm hoping now that we have spoken about it, that it does take off for us. Against that black background, they'll show even more so. Can't say I've ever seen an African hoopoe, but we're going to stick with the Sultan. I think we're very fortunate with their colors in terms of striking colors. There are a number of different bird species, they're bee eaters as well, that also have really pretty colors, some of them. But yeah, I think we're just very fortunate in the creation department to get all of these different colors, the pinks and the blues and the purples. But the entire family of rollers is actually really pretty. The broad-billed roller has that very, very yellow bill and purple chest. Purple rollers, which you might see up with James and a couple of the other guides back in their areas. But these two that we've got here in picture, and they've been taking off all morning, but now when we sit and want them to take off to show you those colors, it just sits very reluctantly. Always go against what I say in terms of flying and things like that. This one doesn't want to fly at all. It's as if it's glued to that branch that it's on. But in the background you might be able to see something flying about. That was that African hoopoe that we spoke about. Not something that I've ever seen following a fire because of the insects that get flushed from it. But a little bit more active than the roller in picture. Yeah, that we wait patiently for to take to the skies. Listen to that call. What a really, really harsh call for such a pretty bird. As do most, even the purple-crested turaka, very, very harsh call for such a pretty bird. But that unmistakable sound of the lilac-breasted roller that you heard now. I'm not sure if you managed to hear that. There we go. Straight down to the ground. Let's see if it's... And there it goes. We're going to pop past the watering hole now to see if there's anything about there.
So Ribbon has disappeared. Sorry, she waddled. She struggled, but she made it off somehow. And what's been fascinating to watch is now Heart is alone. And Heart's always been in a steady position, but she's really showing a lot of dominance towards Sutu. Sutu being the sub-adult, that's June's daughter. Not necessarily Ribbon's boys, but she's been quite dominant and aggressive towards Sutu. So that shows me still that Heart is very much higher rank than June, or at least June's offspring. Out of everybody here, Sutu is the lowest ranker. She's still a sub-adult, but still her rank is really not high. She's going for the scraps, anything that's left from that carcass. And I think Ribbon has gone to find shade and sleep all day, while her tummy works hard to digest everything that's inside. So hopefully one day we'll get to figure out the mystery, which is where does Heart sit in this hierarchy? Not Heart, sorry, June. My apologies, June. Still do not know. Has to be a reason June's avoiding this communal den. Clans are social. Even though there's a hierarchy, they're still social. They still spend time in one another's company as long as you act out your rank, either dominant or submissive to certain individuals. So why June is not coming here, I do not know. June got injured in the matriarchal takeover. That was the night of absolute chaos that happened inside our camp, and that's when June's ear got badly damaged, and she now has a floppy ear. I think the cubs are also exhausted. Kirsten will repeat that name one more time, but Swazi, with the wire around his neck, is wire-free. It's gone. It's completely gone. We managed to get it off with the help of a vet. So we went live. We went live with Swazi immediately after he woke up, and he was absolutely fine. He's been sighted many times since, so he is wire-free. And the reason there was human intervention there was because, sadly, the fact that Swazi had a wire was human-caused. There's really not much left now. The bulk of the bones went inside that den. If only we could see what Corky's little one is doing with it. Sutu doesn't want to approach. Do you see that? She's staying back. She's staying on the periphery. So I think soon all the activity is going to go very quiet here as our hyenas start to sleep.
So this little pile of twigs right in the top of this tree up here, this is an old pale chanting goshawk nest. And I don't mean the pale chanting goshawk was old. The nest of the pale chanting goshawks is an old nest. But this is the kind of nesting structure that we're looking for. And this one is actually collapsed down somewhat. This particular nest is about 2 years old already. They are known to reuse nests, but this one hasn't been used in the past 2 years. That's the kind of thing that we're looking for here, and it just gives you some idea of how challenging it's going to be, because this one is super easy to see. It's like right next to the road. But if you've got a nest that size and it's in one of these blocks are massive. Birds, as opposed to like you stumbling upon it. It'll be blind luck though. I've got the feeling we're being watched. There's a giraffe watching us out the back over here as well, and we got another. Yeah, I'm not going to climb a tree today. There's another giraffe just to the right over here. Sorry, Davy, I'm making Davy jump around. It's like you're all getting dizzy, eh? So it's nice. Yeah, so it just shows as we're moving through these landscapes here, we're looking for nests and odds and ends. Yeah, there's all sorts of little creatures that are cruising around and watching us as well. Well, that's not a little creature. That's a fairly large creature.
Welcome back everybody to And Beyond Phinda, where we've come across this small herd of zebra who I think have just come from a watering hole, but tucked away in the middle of your screen is a really, really small baby zebra. You can see he's still got that very, very fluffy coat and tucked right up against mom, having a look at us, still very curious, probably one of the first couple of interactions that it's had with a film crew watching it. So it keeps peering back, a little bit of grooming, but yeah, it doesn't stray too far from mom at all. As they're busy grazing now in the open, it is starting to heat up significantly. There's a herd of wildebeest behind us out of picture that have found their resting spot for the day. But you can see Jackie, very interesting question to try and tell the difference between the two, male and female. I'm not sure we can tell here. Obviously we're lucky with this one and its youngster that's a female, but if we zoom in between their legs and she wags her tail, you'll see she's got a very thick black stripe between her legs. If we find one of the males and he wags his tail, they've got a very thin black stripe between the legs. That's one way of differentiating between the two, if they don't otherwise have a calf like this particular mom in picture. We'll see now. Damon not so long ago spoke about the stallion in the harem. In fact, there's a good example. Just to mom's right hand side is one that's wagging his tail, and that's, you can see he's got that very thin black stripe that we spoke of. That would be a male. Have a look at that youngster still peering at us from behind these two here closest to us. In case of Curious George, all of the adults either grazing or sort of busy doing something. That little youngster still finding his feet out here.
Welcome back to the Masai Mara. That must have been a cute little zebra foal. I can't see it, but I can hear it, what you guys are watching. Remember, talk to us, CGTN, hashtag CGTN, hashtag Wild Earth. This is live and happening right now. This is the beautiful Great Migration. From where I had been talking to you this morning, this is another 2 miles. So I'm not showing you the same wildebeest. These are very different, very scattered. I'm in an area in between what we call the escarpment and the river. There's a swamp called Olpunyata, and this is where I am. And this is another massive herd stretching, long distances away. I'm gonna see if I can get close to this. Yeah. Judy, thank you for your question. You're asking where I am. Olololo escarpment. I'm gonna ask Big James to show you the Olololo escarpment. It's off to my right. A long ways. I don't know if we'll be able to see it. You see that? That is the Olololo escarpment. It's a bit hazy, but you can see the outline. You see it? That's the Olololo escarpment. So I am facing southwards towards the Serengeti, and east is to my left. So this is where I am. A place called the Mara Triangle. It's on the western side of the greater Masai Mara. It's about 720 square kilometers, quite an expanse. and I'm on the main road that cuts in between. Yeah, you see these guys, they've been hot from this morning and now they've decided to take a little bit of a break. Of course, it's a very dangerous area because the grass is very tall or high and they can be easily be stalked. A few zebra there taking refuge in between the wildebeest. Very smart of them to be in the middle. So if they were spooked or somebody was to choose lunch, they would be out of the menu. Yeah, there are a few that are lying down. They could have been walking the whole night, and a few are trying to find their moms, as are trying to get rid of insects by scratching themselves. You can see there. Yeah, of course, yeah, there are thousands and thousands. During this great migration, there is about 1.5 to 2 million animals migrating in one direction. Quite a sight to behold. I wish all of you were here. Yeah, it would be amazing for you to have here. We're gonna zoom in for you so you can enjoy the, the numbers.
I'm sure the North Clan will be over the moon with all the wildebeest up in the Masai Mara. The North Clan are incredible hunters. They hunt so much more than scavenge. The percentage is said to be 80% to 20%, 80% hunting. And that's because they have such great numbers. I think it's 90 strong now, or thereabouts, and they're very cooperative. They work together. If all the hyenas work together, they can take down quite a substantial size prey. Oh, Heart's off with the skin, I think. Sutu's back on the scene, and I think the cubs are extremely tired. Oh, there's a horn. Sutu's got a horn. Yeah, Heart's walking completely off. I don't think we'll be able to follow her. She's left the den.
And here we are back at our mystery tree. Still no sign of the denizen that resides within its deep, dark depths. But patience shall reveal all. Just kidding. But it will. We'll just, we're going to return to this tree over the next couple of days in slightly warmer weather than we're having now. And hopefully we'll see something really cool pop out there. And who knows what it could be. Maybe there's not even anything in that tree. But, oh, Laura Moore says it's a tree. It is a tree. Well done, well spotted. Megan says, puff at her. Megan, you are absolutely, finally someone has got it wrong again. It's not a puff adder. No, but there is, I really want to, put it this way, I don't want to, Anna Marie says a woodpecker. Anna Marie has finally also got it wrong. No, it's not a woodpecker. But what I really don't want to do, I don't want to just drive past the tree. Oh, there it is. You know, I want to be sitting when it actually emerges, and that's the fun part about it. So just bear with me a little bit, you know, over the next couple of days. If it works, it works. If it doesn't, it doesn't. You know, nothing ventured, nothing gained. Oh, well, as long as you're enjoying it, that makes me really happy. That's all I need. And yeah, it's just a beautiful day out here, and thanks so much for being with us. I mean, it's just, it really, yeah, it does have feathers. I didn't say where it has feathers. And I will bet you I will be right at some point. So there's a little mind twister for you there. I'm sure it has feathers at some point. There we go. That'll be a clue for you. Yeah, but you know, the whole thing with being out in the bush is just having an enjoyment for it. Butterfly says, is it an ant? No, it's not an ant. Ants don't have feathers to my knowledge. But if you enjoy the outdoors, you'll start looking after it. It doesn't matter whether, if you stay in Germany and you've got a little forest down the road, if you enjoy the outdoors, you'll have an appreciation and you'll really enjoy that aspect of it. If you stay somewhere else, it'll be exactly the same thing. And there's no difference out here. Anyway, long story short, have an amazing day, stay safe, and I can't wait to see you all this afternoon on our drive.